welcome. This is Anna from Craft Me a Card, crafting for the crafter, and that is you. Today I'm going to be playing with this little collection I have of alcohol inks. I will be trying different techniques and different ways of applying. I will also be applying a little bit of silver and gold mixatives. Remember to always be in a ventilated area when working with alcohol inks. The smell does tend to be strong. It is alcohol you're working with. I will also be working with YUPO paper. This is 5 by 7 inches. It comes in a pack of 10. And I also will be comparing it against photo glossy paper and see which one works best, or actually really see what the differences are. 91% alcohol is also needed. Trying not to get anything lower than 91%. The higher I think works best. Also, blending solution, that is for alcohol inks. To help me spread the ink around, a straw, just a regular straw. To help me spread the, actually apply the alcohol, a dropper. And also I have this little hand sanitizer container, which is a little spray. I finished it up and I thought it would be great to use on my projects, and sure enough it works great just to spray on some alcohol. To keep your hands clean, some little gloves. You could use any kind of gloves. Actually, it's just to keep your hands clean. I canter, I sing, so I need to keep my hands clean. I have a glass mat, but it actually was producing too much glare for the video, so I decided to get a piece of glass from a picture frame. And this actually works great. I guess any non-porous surface that you might have could work for this. Just make sure that it won't stain whatever you're working on. So the first technique I'm going to try here is smushing the cardstock against the colors. In this case it's the photo glossy paper. I'm going to smush it against the colors that are on the glass mat, and the 3 colors I am using are Stream, which is beautiful, it's like a teal color, Pool, and I wanted a little pop, so I grabbed the Butterscotch. So that's what I just put here, and it doesn't matter how you put it, just go ahead and add it. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's however you feel that would work good. So I sprayed a little bit of alcohol ink there to just water the colors down, grabbed my photo glossy paper and just smushed it against the glass. And look at how pretty that looks. So what I'm going to be doing with this piece is I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm just going to apply as much ink as I can from the glass mat. Then I take again my alcohol ink, and I spray it on to these colors. Take the straw and just blow in different directions to get these 3 colors moving. And initially you're going to see that the color it tends to be more towards the green side, but the actual last product is it looks great. And there really isn't a correct way to do this. It's however you feel, and whichever direction you want to go to, that is what you're going to be doing. I have this little ring holder, which I like for this actually because it's nice and heavy and it's shallow to where I could easily grab the alcohol ink with my dropper and put the alcohol onto the glossy paper. You could use any little container, of course, that you would like. So here I just applied some on the cardstock, and I'm grabbing the straw and just moving this color around, applying the alcohol, moving it around. And this technique I decided to leave in real time just for you to see how the alcohol moves and how quick it dries. And but I will be starting to fast forward the video just to not make this too long, not to drag it too much for you. So as you can see here, it's turning more green, but you could always apply more alcohol or apply more ink to make the product the way that you want it to. And I do have to say, this is very addicting. It's a great product to work with. These ones that I'm working with are by Holtz, and they're just great. There's a great variety of colors that you can work with, and you could stick to the same tone or switch it around. Now, since that one was done, I am going to go ahead and apply it directly onto the cardstock. In this case, it's the photo glossy paper. So the first technique was the smushing one. This one is directly onto the cardstock. So first was the stream, pool, and now I went in with the butterscotch. And again, you could leave it like this if you want, but I'm going to keep trying the same technique, which is first applying some alcohol ink onto the colors, then blowing them with the straw. And the colors move lovely. And as you can probably already tell, but this time the video is sped up a little bit. And as you can see here, I keep adding more alcohol ink, and I just want the piece to be a little lighter, and I just look for what I feel I want from this piece. And here, as you can see, there's a little too much ink concentrated in the middle, so I added more alcohol to it. Whenever I see little pools of color together, I just add more alcohol there and I move it around. And here's a comparison of side by side. The first one is the smushing one, and the second one is where we applied it directly. So it really depends on what you're looking for in a piece. If you want something a little darker, just add the color directly onto your cardstock. And now I'm going to try the same technique with YUPO paper, and I'm going to be using the same 3 colors, only so it'll be easier to detect the differences. Okay, so YUPO paper is plastic-like. It's not really easy to tear, and it's great for working with alcohol inks. It does tend to be a little pricier than if you were to buy photo glossy paper, but we will see the differences here. So first, we're going to smush the YUPO paper onto the glass mat that has the colors, and this piece is a little smaller than what I was using with the glossy paper, so I'm thinking that's why it's the coverage is a little better. But if you could see, that looks beautiful. I could actually use that, but I'm going to try the same technique for all pieces, and that was the alcohol that I sprayed on. And I have to stress again, it has to be at least 91%. If you go with the lower percentage, the colors won't move as well. And that's the piece there. And now I am going to be adding it directly onto the cardstock. In this case, it's the YUPO paper. The YUPO paper does tend to dry matte. It's not shiny like the glossy paper. And again, adding the alcohol to the inks that are on the YUPO paper and just helping it move around. You do have to be careful with condensation that is coming from the straw. You will get little droplets, so just make sure you're either switching your straw around or allowing it to dry a bit, because the condensation will create water and that will fall onto your project. I love how this piece came out, and it's just great to work with alcohol inks. And again, I'm just moving colors where I see little pools that are too dark. I just add more alcohol to it and I help move it around. The little shininess that you're seeing there, and that is because the piece is still wet, but it will dry completely matte. Now I'm going to be trying out the blending solution. First, I am going to be applying it onto the cardstock and then adding my blending solution to it. This is just to see the difference between blending solution and alcohol. Blending solution is, of course, a little pricier than if you were to be buying alcohol. And I'm adding, again, the blending solution. Blending solution, I noticed, moves a little slower than alcohol. The blending solution seems to be a little thicker than alcohol. Alcohol, I guess it's more watered down than the blending solution. That's why it moves a little slower. but the results are really beautiful for both pieces, alcohol or blending solution. I'm just going to be adding more blending solution to this piece and just grabbing it and moving it by moving the cardstock up and down one side or the other. You don't necessarily have to use an aid. You don't have to use the straw for this. Now I'm going to be comparing all pieces. The first one here is the one that we smushed on to the glossy paper, and this is the lighter one. As you could see, you get the little sparks of alcohol drops there. And this is the one where we used the glossy paper but added the alcohol ink directly to the piece. This is where I added the droplets and then moved it around with alcohol. And as you could see, it's quite lovely. Both pieces are beautiful. So the one to your left is the one that we used the smushing technique, and the one to your right is the one where we added the alcohol inks directly onto the glossy paper. Continuing with the glossy paper, this is the piece that we used the blending solution to move the color around, and this was adding the alcohol ink directly onto the paper and then moving it around with blending solution. The one to your left is alcohol ink, the one to your right is blending solution. Both pieces are quite lovely. Whether you use alcohol or blending solution, you get beautiful results. Now we're going to be moving on to the YUPO paper. This first piece here is the one where we smushed the alcohol inks, and the second one here, showing you now, is the one where we added the alcohol inks directly onto the paper. And these, as you can see, are matte. They dried matte. The smushing one on YUPO paper, and this is the smushing one on glossy paper. Both beautiful pieces. This is shiny because it was done on glossy paper, and the YUPO paper is matte. It dried matte. Both pieces, again, beautiful. And here we have the direct, adding the alcohol ink direct to the paper. This is YUPO paper, of course, matte, and the glossy one dried shiny. And here are all the pieces, actually. As you could see, beautiful. I mean, no complaints whether you use blending solution, whether you use alcohol ink, whether you use glossy paper, YUPO paper. All results are beautiful, and you could use them on your projects. Now I'm going to be trying different colors here to incorporate a little bit of that silver mixative. First color I picked here is Sailboat Blue. Then we go on to Patina, another beautiful color, and this green is Citrus. Then on top of this, I am going to be adding a little bit of silver mixative. Okay, so here's the silver mixative. You do have to shake it. It has like a little ball to help you move the color on inside. And the silver and the gold mixatives both add wonderful little accents to your project. So that is something that you might want to grab along the way. I'm adding here the alcohol from my ring holder, my glass ring holder. So I go ahead and add it all over. I grab drops of alcohol ink onto this to help it move along. And then just grab it, first move it up and down. Then I see where it needs a little bit more of alcohol to water the color down a little bit. Then I go ahead and grab my straw and I help move this. Aside from the straw, I've seen people also use different other things like a blow dryer on a low setting. That is also some way that you can help move the color around. And these are other examples. These are the ones I made with the gold mixative. As you can see here, you can see the gold there, the gold accents. It's quite beautiful. This is smushed here, and the bottom piece that you're seeing here is directly onto the cardstock. So I'm going to be showing you a little tip here that I like to do. When I have a piece and I want to add a little accents to it, I get a little bit of Tombo glue. This is liquid glue. And Tombo glue dries repositionable. So that means that once it dries, it is still sticky, but it won't stick to something, if that makes any sense. It just dries sticky, like for you to be able to reposition something. And since it is still sticky, I go ahead and I save my foil papers that I may have left over from a project. And I really do save these for this technique. And I just add a little bit of Tombo, allow it to dry a little bit. Then I go in with my leftover foil paper and I stamp it on it, and it grabs some of this foil paper. This one that I'm using here is, I believe, holographic. So this adds a very nice little accent to your piece. As you could see, it looks like if I had encrusted little pieces of metal into my cardstock. Now I want to share some of the cards that I created using these backgrounds. This first one here, this is the one that YUPO paper that I added the drops directly. Just added a die cut, Happy Everything, and created that one. Another one here, I added the Happy Birthday die cut on top, a little bit of sequins and glossy accents onto that one. And also this one, didn't add much, just the big Happy Everything. This is the smushing technique on glossy paper and some sequences, and created that one. I will be creating separate videos for some of these. Another one that I didn't want to add a lot, I just added the big Happy and then Birthday to You and sequences, a little bit of Wink of Stella also. This is the one with the silver mixative, a big Happy Birthday to You, some sequences, and that's it. This is the one that has the gold mixative, added a die cut of Happy Birthday, some sequences, and Week of Stella. This one was a little bit more time consuming only because I had to color my little fairies, and this one is the one with the gold mixative onto it. And this one was created with different pieces that were left over from other pieces that I had cut, didn't want to throw them away. And this is a big Felicidades on the top, which means happiness. I guess it's Happy Everything. Could be also a congratulations card. I thought that was awesome. This is another one where I added a little bit of that foil paper to the background, just added a Happy Birthday onto it. This one was made using the silver mixative onto it. And this one also took me a little longer because I added a lifting kind of technique to this. We'll be making a video to show you guys how I did this with alcohol. This is another piece that I was created, you know, using a die cut here. Added some Nouveau drops, Wink of Stella. Anyways, you don't need to add a lot to these cards. As you can see, possibilities are endless. And what I like is that you could make cards quite quickly with these backgrounds because you don't need to add a lot, because the alcohol ink, what it gives you is so much already that you want to admire the work that you put onto the background. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you create, I hope you get inspired, and most of all, I hope you are happy. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hello.
How did it go?
How are you?
Oh, because I don't want to dirty it.
No,
Hi,
Chewy.
how'd it go?
Wow, alcohol inks. That's strong. Hi. Hi. Ow, Chewy. Stop. Stop scratching me. You want to see my blisters?